ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदम् पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं वादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। 26th तत्र अपश्यत् स्थितान् पार्थः पितॄनथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा श्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि। I repeat it again one more time. तत्र अपश्यत् स्थितान् पार्थः पितॄन् अथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा श्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि। See the meaning. Now Arjun Shah stationed there in both the armies, his uncles, granduncles, and teachers, even great-grand-uncles, maternal uncles, brothers and cousins, sons and nephews, and grandnephews, even so friend, fathers-in-law, and well-wisher as well. See the meaning one more time. Tatra means there. Arjun Shah stationed there in both the armies, his uncles, granduncles, and teachers, even great-grand-uncles, maternal uncles, brothers and cousins, sons and nephews, and grandnephews, even so friends, fathers-in-law, and well-wishers as well. In previous talk, we listened that Arjun said, Lord Sri Krishna, my chariot placed between two armies. And Lord Sri Krishna did it without any question, without any hesitation, as he was ordered, and God did. And Lord Sri Krishna says to the Arjun, "O Arjun, now you can see. You can see the both armies. There are both armies. And now Sanjay says, O Dhritarashtra, what Arjun was looking there? What did he see So here is written, apasyat sthitan parthan pitri nath pitamahan. Arjun saw their father figures. The Arjun's father died very early. So Arjun did not have father. But there are so many great personalities. They were like father figure for Arjun. And he saw both armies. There are Pitrin and there are Pitamahan. Pitamahan, great father. Pitama like Bhishma Pitama. Forefathers. Not only father figures, there were like Bhishma. And not only Bhishma, there were one other more person. His name was Bhurisravaha. Pitamahan. Then he saw Acharya. Acharya means masters, like Dronacharya. Dronacharya was also there. And he saw Matulan, maternal uncle, like Shakuni. And Bhratrin, brothers. So Duryodhan was there, Dushasan was there, Yudhishthir, Bhim also were there. Putran and Arjun see there is Putra, sons like Abhimanyu, Lakshman, Putran and grandsons. As before I told you, when this war was happening, the age of Pandavas were about 70, 80. So they had not only the sons, even grandsons also. So Arjun see Sakhins Tatha and he is watching there. Friends like Ashwathama, Shashuran, the fathers-in-law, Suhirdasyaiva, and there were so many well-wishers also. Senayo Ruhayorapi, in both armies, Sanjay is stating to the Dhritarashtra. He says, O Dhritarashtra, in both armies, Arjun was watching. There are great personalities, only relatives, well-wishers. Now next. Tan samikshasa kaunteya sarvan bandhun avasthitan kripaya paraya vishto visidan idam abravit. I repeat one more time. Tan samikshasa kaunteya sarvan bandhun avasthitan kripaya paraya vishto visidan idam abravit. Tan samiksh, see the meaning. Seeing all those relations present there, Arjun was overcome with deep compassion and uttered these words in sadness. One more time, see the translation. Tan samiksha sakaunteya. Sanjay is stating to the Dhritarashtra. He says, Sa kaunteya, sa Arjun, that Arjun, tan samiksha, seeing all those relations present there, Arjuna was overcome with deep compassion and uttered these words in sadness. Now, here, very important part of the Gita it begins. The whole Gita is very, very important, no doubt. But this part, I can say that today's talk, because this part is very, very important. This part is very, very important. What is happening in Mahabharata, in the battlefields of Kurukshetra? Sanjay is giving commentary to the Dhritarashtra. He says, Tan Samiksha. So I am making a point to you. Just imagine Lord Sri Krishna and Arjuna are sitting in the chariots. Arjuna is giving directions to the Lord Sri Krishna. Oh Krishna, take my chariots between two armies. And Krishna did, without any question. Arjuna said, my purpose is to go there. I want to see both armies. Especially, I want to see them who have come to help to please Duryodhana. Duryodhana is very evil-minded. Even knowing that there are so many kings has come, so I want to see them, how they are. So purpose was to see enemies. Of course, in fighting, in war, there are enemies. But see the condition of Arjuna. Lord Sri Krishna says, okay, if you want to see your enemies, now see, there are your enemies. This is the army of the enemies. And Arjuna started watching. And suddenly things had happened. It was very strange. In this field, Arjuna should have seen enemies. He had come for seeing the enemy. Without seeing enemy, without enmity, you cannot fight. How can you fight with your relatives? So Arjuna should have seen their enemy. But what he is watching? He is not watching the enmity. He is not watching the enemy. He is saying, like father figure, Dronacharya, Ashwatthama. The Arjuna does not see the enmity. Arjuna does not see the enemy. Here word is used apashyat. Now see, when we see something, we are watching something, and suddenly that seeing becomes a trigger for our memory. Suppose you are going somewhere on the streets, you are calm and quiet, you are going to buy some vegetables, and you are very, very quiet. And suddenly in front of you, there is your a great enemy, a big enemy. Big enemy. Your eyes your eyes are reporting that there is a human being. But your mind creates a different image. He says, this is not just a human being. This person is my enemy. This person has done so many problems to me. This person has given lots of problems to me. And you becomes upset. Here, Arjun came to the battlefield and he's watching, but not only the watching, immediately his mind becomes more active. And he started playing with Arjun. So now mind is playing with Arjun. Arjun is thinking there. In this army, with whom I am going to fight, there is a Bhishma. And Bhishma used to love us. Bhishma used to support us. He is very kind person. He is very compassionate. Then he thinks about Dronacharya. Dronacharya is my master. He taught me all archery secrets. And suddenly he started thinking about this and that, this and that. Unlimited memories are immediately becomes active. Unlimited memory becomes active. Apashyat means sa. Arjun, sa. What? Not only the figure of the body. Mind gives so many images. Tatra pasyat sthitan parthan pitri nata pitamahan. Sanjay says, Tan shamikshasa kaunteya sarvan bandhun avasthitan. Now Arjun is watching everywhere. Everywhere there is no any enemy. There are only my swajan, my friends, my colleagues, my brothers, my sister, my uncles, fathers. No enemy. No enemy. Now see, when Pandava was in the forest for exile period, for 12 years, and that 12 years, especially Arjun, he did so many penances, he did so many austerity. The only purpose was to get some divine powers. Arjun did so many austerities, He did austerity of Lord Shiva. And Bhagwan Shiva gave him Pashupat Astra. And he said, Bhagwan Shiva said to Arjun, don't use it. Just keep it. Just keep it. This is like atom power, atom bomb. So don't use. This energy is not for using. This is your strength. So Bhagavan Shiva, the Lord Shiva, gave him his own Pashupatastra. And somewhere he got the Gandhi bow. Somewhere he got the chariot. Somewhere he got the horses, Hanumanji. And so many powers he collected. So many divine powers he collected. The only purpose was to fight this particular war. Only purpose was. Because he knew that in this war, when I would fight, there would be Bhishma, there would be Dronacharya, there would be Ashwatthama. All my relatives would be in front of me. He was fully aware. He knew that. Having known that, and he did all efforts to make himself very powerful, very strong, and he succeeded. He got so many powers. 12 years. And when the period has over, they gathered and they started making program how to defeat Kauravas. So they gathered so many armies and everything. Arjun knew that this fight is against my own people. He knew that. But he did all things. But suddenly today what happened? Sanjay is saying, oh Maharaj, Sha Kaunteya Sarvan Bandhu Navastitan. Everywhere, wherever he sees, everywhere he is watching that this is my relative, this is my brother, this is my father, this is like my father, this is like Pitamaha, this is like friend, this is this. No enemy. What happened one day? What happened overnight? Sarvana bandhuna vastitan. Sanjay says, the vision of the Arjuns totally has changed. Even Duryodhan, even Dushasan is also for him his brother. Then what happened? Kripaya paraya vishtuhu. This word is very, very beautiful. Kripaya paraya vishtu. The Arjun filled with compassion. Avishtu means what? This word has to be understood. Avishtu. Avishtu means it is like this. When someone takes alcohol and he becomes intoxicated, his thinking, his all activity, everything becomes according to that antiquation and that anticipated. So in that condition, the person is not working. The alcohol is working. Avishta. And another example we can take, like someone becomes very rich suddenly. Suddenly someone becomes very rich. And that person, because of that wealth, he becomes so proud. Then we say that this is not that person. This person has totally changed. This person has totally changed. He is not speaking. His wealth is speaking through him. Avishta means, and one more, thing I can say. Like we are individual. And sometimes in our body, some other person can enter. In today's language, we can say that split personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder, or multiple personality disorder. Kripaya Vishnu. Arjun was very different. He came here for fighting. But Kripaya Vishnu, in this battlefields, he becomes filled of compassion. One more thing, this compassion is not real nature of Arjuna. Kripaya Paraya Vishnu. Like this compassion has come, overcome, and this compassion is not nature of the Arjuna. Arjuna fought so many wars, and he killed so many people. He fought so many wars, fightings, and he won. He had killed so many people without any hesitation, without any tension. After killing many of people, he could sleep in the night without any hesitation. Daytime, he had killed so many people. At night, he slept. No hesitation. In the morning, he was doing everything normal. Next morning, the next war, next people. So many times he fought and he had killed so many people. There was no compassion. Here Sanjay is saying, Kripaya Paraya Vishnu. Today, something very different thing has happened to Arjuna. In his mind, there is compassion. Compassion for whom? The question is for whom? Our rishis used to say, Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschid dukh bhag bhavet. This was compassion. Bhagavan Buddha was compassionate. Bhagavan Dattatreya was compassionate. Bhagavan Kapil was compassionate. There are unlimited examples. And being compassionate is a good for everyone. Here Sanjay says, the compassion is not nature of the Arjuna. He is a great soldier, great warrior. By nature, he is a warrior. He can fight good. And for fighting, you need anger. Sometimes you need cruelty. So, compassion is not nature of the Arjuna. Today, Kripaya Paraya Vishnu. Suddenly, like split personality disorder, Arjuna becomes suddenly different. Very different, very new Arjuna becomes today. Kripaya Paraya Vishnu. he feels what I am doing. These all are my relatives. These all are my friends, fathers, uncles, sons, grandsons, and I am going to killing them. I should not do that. Now see, now Arjun is in the points where the 2 points. One, he is a warrior, and simultaneously he is a compassionate also. This is the problem of Arjun. If Arjun is a warrior, then no problem. If Arjun is compassionate, then no problem. The problem is, same time, the struggling is the same time he is a warrior, and same time he is a compassionate too. And this is not possible. This is not possible. This is the struggling. From that point, Gita starts. Avishta. Then by nature, Arjun is a warrior. But today, compassion also entered in his mind. So Arjun becomes very confused. Arjun becomes totally confused. Kripaya Vishta. And this compassion captured Arjun. You can say that Arjun is not master of conditions. Arjun is not master of conditions. Conditions are controlling to Arjun. This is the difference between the Lord and Arjun. Lord Sri Krishna is Achyut. Achyut means the controller of the conditions always. The Arjun is conditioned, controlled by conditions. Kripaya Paraya Vishtu. And one thing more, see, when someone is compassionate, then after some good acts, you would be happy. If you are real compassionate, you are going somewhere, there is a person who is hungry, and you gave him food by compassion. He takes your food and he becomes happy. Watching that happiness without eating, you would be more happy than that person. Your happiness is because of compassion. The hungry man's happiness is because of the food. Same if someone is in pain and you are a doctor. You give some medicine, you give some treatments, and that person becomes happy. That person becomes happy because he was treated, he was cured. But you would be more happy than that person. Your happiness is because of compassion. So, consequences of the happiness is, consequences of the patience is happiness. There should be happiness. But here what is happening? Kripaya paraya vishtu visidan. Arjun becomes Vishidan. Vishidan in anxiety, in moha, delusion, in anxiety. In today's language, I can say that in depression. Depression word is very, very useful today. In the society, everywhere, almost everyone is in depression. Why? You have to read this condition of the Arjun. Then you can understand what depression is. And thankfully, Arjun was lucky. He had Lord Sri Krishna to treat him. Otherwise, he would have given any chemical, some pills, and doctor will enjoy. They become so happy that you are in depression. They started giving pills, medicines, some chemicals. But this is not the remedy of the depression. This is not remedy of the depression. It was because, now see the condition of Arjun's. It was because of wrong understanding. And wrong understanding can be corrected only with right understanding. There is no other way. If I have some wrong understanding and I take some pills, some chemicals, they would not work. I have to correct myself. My wrong understanding can be removed by right understanding. So Arjun was lucky. He had Lord Sri Krishna. Vishidan nidam abravit. Because of that compassion. And Lord Sri Krishna cannot be cheated. He knew everything. Arjun is saying, I am very compassionate. Sri Krishna understands that. No, this is not compassion. This is not compassion. This is delusion. This is not compassion. If there would have been other army, immediately start killing them. You have killed so many people. They were also fathers and forefathers, sons, and you never thought, I'm killing them. Today, you are showing your compassion. So this is not compassion. See the difference. Sri Krishna says, this is not compassion. This is a delusion. This is delusion. This is not compassion. So make difference between delusion and compassion. We have killed so many times people. You never did compassion. So, Kripaya Paraya Vishtu Vishidanidam Abravit. And this word is the core word of the topic. And that is why the chapter is called Arjun Vishad Yogo Namo. This chapter's name is Arjun Vishad. Depression, anxiety. Vishidanidam Abravit. And he started saying, Now next one. Drishtvemam swajanam Krishna yutsum samupasthitam Shidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishishyati vepathuscha sharire me roma harasasya jayate. I repeat one more time. Arjun uvacha drishtva imam swajanam Krishna yutsum samupasthitam Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishishyati vepathuscha sharire me roma harasasya jayate. Arjun says, see the meaning. Arjun said, O Krishna, at the sight of these kinsmen arrayed for battle, my limbs gives way, my mouth is getting parched. Now a shiver runs through my body and hair stand on end. See the effect of depression. See the effect, results, consequences of the anxiety, dilemma Arjun is facing. See the condition of the Arjun. He says, O Krishna, Drishtva imam swajanam Krishna. O Krishna, having seen my relatives, both sides, and they are here for fighting. Yutsum samupasthitam. My relatives are both sides here for fighting. And fighting is not just a game. Here a question is life and death. It's not question of defeat and defeat. Here question is life and death. One will remain. Sometime both may be killed. Drishtva so imam sojanam Krishna yutsum samupasthitam. Now he started saying his condition, his symptoms, which are because of this condition, this dilemma, this moha. Any word can be used. Sri Krishna says moha. And in the last of the Gita, when Sri Krishna was completing it, he said, Arjun, have you got? Arjun says, yes, I got it. I got it. Now my delusion has gone. I got my memory. So question is about delusion, dilemma. So Arjun's problem is not killing. Arjun's problem is delusion, moha. These are mine. So I-ness and my-ness is the main problem. Arjun is in this condition not because of the fighting, not because of the compassion. He is facing this condition because of the moha, delusion, identity crisis. Identity crisis. Who am I? Because of the identity crisis, Arjun is facing that problem. Totally differently talking. Drishtva swajanam Krishna. He says, oh Krishna, See, unfortunately, my all family, our relatives are here for fighting. And he becomes so confused, totally confused, and he was struggling with himself. This is the depression, this is the condition of the depression. And now see the symptoms. What effect will make this depression in our body? Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishusyati. Arjun says, so Krishna, because of this, my whole body is getting weakness. I feel very weakness. See, Arjun, sometime before he was so strong. He was the best warrior of the Mahabharata. He had no any problem, even headache. No fever, no headache, no corona, nothing. He was fresh. He was ready to fight. But now, because of this mental condition, because of that mental condition, that mental struggling, that mental disorder in our body also.
Hari Om, everyone. We should wait for Swamiji to rejoin. Yes, we can see him rejoining. Thank you.
Okay. It was some net issue. Okay, see. So, Arjun was in condition of sadness. Because of that sadness, the symptoms are weakened of the body, perched in mouth, and bepathuscha sarire me. Another effect is fear. First is grief. And because of the grief, because of the sadness, there are two symptoms. One is the weakened of the limbs and mouth of the perched. Another is fear. And because of the fear, he says, my body is shivering, and my hair stand on end. These both are the symptom of the fear. Now, next one. Gandivam sansate hastat tvakchaiva paridayhate nacha shaknomi avasthatum brahmativa cha me manaha. I repeat it one more time. Gandivam sansate hastat tvakchaiva paridayhate brahmati nacha shaknotyavasthatum brahmativa cha me manaha. See that translation. He says, O Krishna, my bow Gandhi slips from my hand, and my skin too burns all over. My brain is whirling as it were, and I can no longer stand straight. These are the symptoms. If someone is in depression, if someone is in condition of sadness, he does not have interest in the world. In depression, in sadness, that person has no interest in the world, even not the soul. There is a very, very, very small difference between depression and depression. Very small gap. There is a very small gap between depression and depression. In depression, the person has no interest in the world, but he has total interest in the soul. He has a total interest in the happiness. In this depression, it has neither interest in the world nor in the soul. Arjuna here says, Gandivam Sansate Hasta. The Arjuna had the bow, its name was Gandiv. It was very special. Gandiv. It belonged to Lord Sri Mahadevji. So Gandivam, it was boon to Arjuna. Very, very important. Thus, bow has some divine powers. It was very auspicious to Arjuna. Now he says, "O Krishna, that my favorite bow, I cannot hold that. Gandivam Sansrate Hasta. It is slipping from my hand. Tvakchaiva Paridayate, and my skin is burning. My skin is burning. The whole body is so painful. See, everything becomes because of everything happening because of the mind. Tvakchaiva Paridayate. And he says, Nasakanomi avasthatum. Even I can no longer stand straight. I cannot stand. Because Brahmati Vachame Manaha. Here in my head, there is a vertigo. My mind is wandering. My mind is so weak. It is going here and there. So see, what is happening with Arjuna? Same Arjuna, before some time, he was ready to fight. He did not have any problem. Suddenly, Kripaya Vishta, a confusion came his mind. And that was identity crisis. Lack of understanding. And because of that, in his mind, in his sense organs, in his body, everywhere, he was so weak. So there was Lord Krishna. As I told you, Arjuna was lucky. He had Lord Sri Krishna. Otherwise, the Arjuna would have been treated so badly. But Lord Sri Krishna was there. Arjuna says, I am so compassionate. Sri Krishna says, no, this is not compassion. This is not compassion. This is your weakness. Gandivam sansrate hastat. If you cannot hold your Gandiv, this is not because of the compassion. It is because of the moha. If your skin is burning, not because of the compassion, because of your lack of understanding. If you cannot stand, not because of the compassion, you don't blame the compassion, that because of your identity crisis. If your mind is wandering, if you have vertigo, it does not mean you are compassionate. Compassionate person's mind becomes quiet, calm, strong body, strong minds. But because of your disidentity, because of your this delusion, this moha, you are struggling. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Arjuna says, oh Krishna, my mind is wandering. I cannot stand. So this topic, this is Arjuna for Gita. Enough for today. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Isharo Gururatmiti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayeta. Om